I did send you the rundown.
Oh, shit. My bad.
Ever since a baby, I've been trying to get away, trying to lock in the guap, trying to block with the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the vibes, but I'm copping the pain. We out for the stars, we're a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitches are jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know what your bros, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like the Rand do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drag. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, now taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in a great estate.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie, and this is week 3 already.
Yeah, welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you all after a really exciting week 2. We are going into week 3. And Jay, this is where we start to get ideas of the teams. You know, you can have a couple of ropey 0-2s, like, for example, the Chiefs are at 0-2. For example, that we don't necessarily believe that they're an 0-2. You can have some fraudulent 2-0s. As well going into week 3, but if you're 0-3 or you're 3-0, we kind of have to start taking both of those seriously.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, and I think week 3 is the
a lot of injuries already hitting the NFL in week 3 too. A lot of injuries, so that makes it interesting too.
Yeah, huge amounts of injuries. We'll see how teams can get over those injuries, and we'll talk about the quarterback injuries to come. But Jay, on the show and for the viewer, we have our reactions to week 2. We're going to look at the Lions versus the Bears. We're going to look at that crazy game between the Cowboys and the Giants. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles, the Texans and the Buccaneers. We're then going to look at the quarterback injuries and what that means for their respective teams. We've then got our week 2 overreactions, our segment GMJ, where I ask Jay a question that I have that I would like to ask to a GM, and he tries his best to answer it for me. We've then got our week 2 MVP and our week 2 rookie MVP to come before moving into Thursday night football and looking ahead to week 3 with some best bets as well. So Jay, let's start at the top where we have the Lions putting it down on the Bears. The Lions dropping 50 points on the Bears. And Jay, did the Lions just remind us that they are Super Bowl contenders?
This is so weird with week 2, right? Because I'm like, what are the Bears? But I am impressed with what I saw from the Lions coming off the week 1 performance, because I don't think they played well. I still have questions about their defense coming off that game with the Bears, but I felt like, okay, we're seeing an offense starting to gel. I really saw Amon St. Brown realize that it's the NFL season too. Like during that game, it was like, oh, we're playing football again. So their stars are starting to like feel it. Jameson Williams had that fucking great big play, and it's like, okay, if they can spark that with Jared Goff, pick up a rhythm with their offensive coordinator, we can see the same Lions offense. And don't get me wrong, I don't think their defense looked as bad as it did week 1, and I don't even think they looked horrible. I'm just like, I see weaknesses, and can they fix those? Is that a scheme thing? Are they just still missing Aaron Glenn? And sometimes it takes a few weeks to get, used to the new defensive coordinator. But I feel like the Lions still showed us like they are definitely in the mix in the NFC, and that we shouldn't overlook them after one bad week.
Yeah, and the Bears still did put up 21 points, so valid questions to ask about the defense. A lot of garbage time stuff there, though. With the Lions, I thought they just looked great, and I think as soon as those stars start to align for them, and Jared Goff is the perfect QB for what they're trying to do, which is the NFC style, get the best roster we possibly can. Can the quarterback play B to A football throughout and get us there with that? And Jay, Jared Goff threw for 5 touchdowns in that game. He was pretty amazing again, and he has these games where he's just on fire in that offense. And I think it just showed that they're ready. They are ready to move on from Ben Johnson, and even if they are just taking on really what he had from last year, what he was doing from last year, they're able to do a good style of it. It's just the Packers really overmatched them in the first week.
Yeah, and the Packers look good too. So they're definitely contenders. We got to see. I'm still a firm believer that the Packers go as far as Jordan Love, but I'm also a believer that the Lions can only go as far as Jared Goff too. So but did anybody in fantasy play Jared Goff? If you did, put them in the comments, because you deserve a fucking kudos for seeing that coming, because I sure didn't. But Jared Goff lit the league on fire. But that's the thing. We questioned their coordinator. So if they can get in a rhythm, if they can find the groove with their coordinators, they'll be fine. But again, I just saw some stuff on the defense where I said they didn't play horrible, but it did make me question, when you play good teams, what is going to happen?
Yeah, and it's a very similar, it's a pretty much the same squad that they had last year. So it is largely about that coordinated question. And I think they did a good job of showing it there. Jay, on the Bears side of the ball, I think we've spoken a lot about the Bears offense, and I think a lot of people do. And I think, look, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, I just don't think match. I don't think they really match at all in their style of play. But Jay, I want to look at the Bears' defensive side of the ball. They just gave up 50 points. Are you surprised by how bad the Bears' defense has looked through the first 2 weeks?
No, because if you watch the show before the year, I was the skeptic. But I was like, all these people are saying, oh, the Bears defense is going to be so much better. And I'm like, I don't know that it is. And I think it's a lot to do with they play a cover 2 fucking, 4-3. And it's, if you have the right players and schemes, you can just pick that apart down the field. And then it becomes bend, don't break, but they're breaking in the red zone too, right? So that becomes a problem. I do have a question that you can answer in a second too if you want, but do you really think it's that Caleb and Ben Johnson don't mesh, it's not a good fit, or is it just maybe Caleb's not a good fit for the NFL? But anyway, back to the defense. So I think they have talent, and that's the problem. I think they had talent last year, and a lot of people were more impressed with their defense than I was last year too, because I felt like a lot of the times it was against bad teams that they played good defense, then good teams came out and put it on them. But I don't know. What do you think about that defense? Do you think it's a scheme thing, player thing, or do you think it's just like the Bears?
Yeah, I do think their defense was perhaps overhyped last season, and the season before that. I do think their defense was definitely overhyped. I think that was to do with how bad the offensive side of the ball looked at points last season. I think when your offensive side of the ball looks really bad, then your defense can say, well, it's not us. It's not us. And they can put together some decent, are the Bears defense one of the worst in the NFL? No. They're probably middle of the pack, right? They're like a middle of the pack defense, which next to a terrible offense will look better. And I think that's maybe what happened. I think they got a lot of passes for bad performances last year because of how often they were on the field, because the defense just wasn't with it. Now, the offense just wasn't with it, sorry. Now, I think the offense, and look, the teams like the Lions put up huge points and, to be honest, run up the score against middle to low defenses. They will just make you look terrible, and they do run up the score. And I thought Dan Campbell running up the score against his former offensive coordinator, who was meant to be his best friend. And Ben Johnson came out after saying, no, that's just what they do. What do you expect them to do? Not score? Good attitude from Ben Johnson. I do really dislike that element of Dan Campbell. I think it's bad head coaching because it shows the opposition too many plays of what you're going to do. And it just means they have to scheme again and again and again, new and more exciting plays. And I don't like that part of it. But the Bears will make an average to low defense look really bad as well. So I imagine the Bears defense isn't as good as what people thought it was coming into the season because it was hiding behind a poor offense. And I imagine it's not as bad as what people are saying it is now because the Lions just do this to average defense. So I imagine it's.
And if the offense would help out a little, the defense wouldn't be on the field as much. They wouldn't get as tired.
Yeah.
Like they give the other team's offense more cracks. They give them more possessions, which means the defense has to be out there again. So if the Bears offense could actually do something, they could eat up clock and really help out their defense, but they're not doing that either. Maybe it's just getting used to a new head coach. Maybe it's not the right quarterback, or maybe it's just bad organizations figured out a way to lose no matter what they do.
Yeah, and I think with Caleb, he's just not the right quarterback for that either, which makes him not the right quarterback for the NFL in his current state. Like, he has more than enough talent to play in the NFL. It's not the same as when you look at other guys like Justin Fields and you question, is he right for the NFL? Because Justin Fields' problem is like he can't make easy throws. Caleb Williams can make all the throws if required. He just tries. It's a case of he's trying to do too much when he gets the ball, and that just doesn't fit the Ben Johnson system, and it doesn't really fit the NFL. You're not going to out-athlete these guys. Jay, the Cowboys and the Giants went on a crazy game where Brandon Aubrey is a savior once again and is going to win, Jay, the fantasy leagues. He's been my secret weapon in fantasy.
I'm 0-2.
Jay took him off me. You must have got unlucky last week, but Brandon Aubrey.
I've lost both games by a couple points, bro. Like, I'm literally losing nail biters. It's horrible.
I think I'm 2-0, but I won last. So the first week it was the two joint highest scorers in a game, and I won that one comfortably. And then this week I went 2-0, but it was the two of the lowest scorers. So I think I was something like the fifth lowest scorer in our league of 14, and I came out with the win, but I came out with the win by like 0.9.
Yeah, because they took it away and gave it back. Maddie was in his feelings. Maddie was in his feelings, guys.
Right. ESPN glitched. Like, they just removed all points from the Raiders-Chargers game. Like, the Raiders-Chargers game just went away, and it was so strange. So I lost all my Lad McConkey points, but we're okay. I'm back to 2-0. But Jay, it was a crazy game for the Dallas Cowboys with Brandon Aubrey saving them at the end, 40 points to 37 in overtime. Jay, is the Cowboys offense like looking pretty elite? With George Pickens looked really good, Javonte Williams looked pretty good. That O-line in the run game especially looks pretty decent. CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb and could do with dropping the ball less. If CeeDee Lamb dropped the ball less, the Cowboys would be 2-0 currently, 2-0 in their division. And Dak Prescott is playing some of his better football that he's played. But is the defense going to stop them from progressing in the playoffs?
So we already know what you're going to get from Dak when he's healthy. So I'm not going to say you're going to go as far as Dak goes, because that's really low-hanging fruit, right? You're going to go as far as your offensive line, and your defensive line will allow you to go. But I will say this. I've seen a bunch of people going, and talking heads too, which is the worst. They're going, see, this just proves trading Micah was the worst idea. I'm like, really? Because to me, this proves it was the right idea, because Micah's not going to stop fucking 30 fucking some points from getting put on the board. So Micah would not have saved your defense this year anyway. Would they have been better? Sure. But not enough to, like, you know what I mean? Not enough to, like, start talking about. Micah is not a 40-point-a-game guy. I mean, no player in the NFL has ever been a 40-point guy.
I think the one part of that is the way they gave up 37 points was Russell Wilson was just sat at the back and throwing deep bombs the entire, which, by the way, in the pre-game show on Sunday is exactly what I said might happen. Like, is just Malik Neighbors get on Kyle Elam or get some double moves going on Trayvon Diggs, and Russell Wilson just throws that crazy moon ball that he has into the stratosphere and it come down again. Now, would he have been able to do that with Micah there? Possibly not. But realistically,
but they would have ran the ball
when
more.
When your cornerback room is that bad, then there's not much that Micah would have been able to do in that situation. I do agree I do agree there. Micah is the icing on the cake in Green Bay.
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Like, that's what's happening. Yeah,
he's amazing.
Micah
Don't get me wrong. He's fucking amazing. He might be the best defensive player in the NFL. But my argument is he is not going to take the Cowboys from where they are to a Super Bowl contender. And if you're not going to fucking pay him and you can fix your cap this way, then Jerry made the right decision. Will Jerry fix the cap? That's the question, right? So if Jerry fixes the cap, this was the right move. But I can't bet anything on Jerry doing what's right because Jerry just does what Jerry wants. But with Micah, I think he's a great fit for the Packers for what they needed. And two things can be true. I think by time it's said and done, this could have been a good move for both teams. And that's where people feel like you have to pick one or the other when I'm talking to people online. And I'm like, I don't know how people can't grasp what I'm saying because I think that the Cowboys defense. So now the Giants would have just ran the ball more if Micah was there. So we don't know how the game would have turned out either, right? So if they're getting the runoff, then play action becomes a big thing. And so I think the Cowboys have to outscore you to win this year. That's what it boils down to.
We wouldn't have Kenny Clark either. So people say,
that's why the run.
The run would have been fine. Like the run would have been fine. We had the run. Well, do we only have the run because Kenny Clark is so weirdly getting rid of Micah does solve the Cowboys' biggest defensive issue, which was D-tackle.
And it creates another one. Yes.
It just highlights the other one, which is we don't really have the pass rush currently to make up for how bad our cornerback room is because Kyer Elam is our currently, because Deron Bland is injured, Kyer Elam is playing outside cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys. Is
Clowney a Cowboy now?
I think so. I think he signed as a Cowboy pretty early this week.
Yeah, and I granted he's got to get in football shape and stuff, but that helps with the pass rush right there. That creates a lot of pressure, and he's good against the run.
And most importantly, it helps with the run game as well. Like what you just said there, Jay, is we've got pass rush ability. Like we have very fast players on the roster. You just can't have them in every down. They can only come out in passing downs. And I forget the rookie's name, the second round pick he's got, but the Cowboys' second round pick at the end has looked very good. He's just a rookie. And then you've got Overshown to come back in as well. You've got guys like Bell that can just fly off the edge as a safety and all of those kind of things. So if you shore up the run, I think they are able to shore up that defense. And I think that, look, the offense looks elite. From what I've seen as the offense, it looks elite. The fact that the Cowboys just drove down in overtime, and when you've got Brandon Aubrey who can just kick from anywhere, and like Brandon Aubrey's range, he says in practice is 70 yards. So the Cowboys only ever need to make the Cowboys don't actually need to really make that much yardage.
Yeah, if they get to like the 45, they're good in a game setting to kick.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they've only got to make like ball comes out to the 30, they've got to make maybe 15, 20 yards a play to make like a drive to gain points, to gain solid points as well. And it's like that Brandon Aubrey just makes this offense even more elite, and we'll see how the defense goes. Jay, we saw a few snaps for Jaxson Dart in this game. I think he came in on a few weird snaps, and it's like Daboll's trying to get them ready for trying to get him ready for when he eventually comes in. I think he had 3 snaps through maybe 1 pass to run handoffs, I think as well. When does Jaxson Dart come in and start playing for the New York Giants, considering Russell Wilson just threw for I think 400 yards?
I don't know when their bye week is, but that's probably after the bye. But unless Russell stinks it up before then, I'll look right now, but I'm not exactly sure when the bye week is. But I definitely agree with you that he is getting everybody ready because it's already in Daboll's mind that he is going to put Jaxson Dart in at some point.
Isn't it crazy to be talking about Jaxson Dart after Russell Wilson has just nearly led them to win and got thrown for 400 yards?
Oh, he's coming in before their bye. Their bye is week 14. He's coming in way before their bye week.
Yeah, isn't it crazy though to think about that? Like the fact that Russell Wilson has just got thrown for 400 yards, and everybody's talking about his replacement coming in. And I get it's because of age, but like, surely you want to if you can sit your rookie quarterback for as long as possible and still play decent football. Surely you want to do that as well. And I don't really understand these like coming in for 3 plays and those kind of things either. Like, it is a different approach, and I do kind of like it in a way in terms of like getting him ready. But Russell Wilson's just thrown for 400 yards against your division rival. But is Russell Wilson only thrown for 400 yards against your division rival in the same way that when he first came in for the Steelers, he did it against the Ravens when the Ravens secondary was fucked as well, and the Cowboys secondary was also fucked? Is that what happened here? And really, we know that Russell Wilson hasn't got the goods.
Yeah, it's going to take a few weeks. I mean, by week 5, we're going to know what most teams are. But I'm still not a believer in the Giants. I still believe the Giants will just keep figuring out ways to lose. And I'm not a fan of Daboll because, like you said last week, is it just because you coach Josh Allen? Because I'm watching Danny Dimes play way better in Indy than he did in New York.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Dimes did have that one season in New York, but he wasn't this guy. And I think
it was his legs, though, that one season.
Yeah, it was his legs though that one season. Danny Dimes suits Indy as well. I said in our fantasy group, and I really wish I didn't say anything since Joe Burrow went down, but I said, you guys really aren't valuing Danny Dimes. He'll be good fantasy points. And then somebody went and picked him up. It was Duffy.
I was going to say,
and then Joe Burrow went down.
I call him Mick Duffy because I call him the Irish Englishman for some reason. He's not even Irish, so now everybody in the group thinks he's Irish. But I was just going to say, I think it was Duffy that the other Brit went and got him.
Yeah, friendly fire.
There's 3 of you. There's 3 of you.
He was giving me a fucking rough deal as well, like to get Danny Dimes out, but I've ended up okay. Jay, in the game of the week, not in terms of the highlight reel, but in terms of probably the significance, the Chiefs went up against the Eagles. The Eagles came out on top, 20-17, as I remember correctly. Jay, I just watched Colin Cowherd miss the Kansas City Chiefs out of his herd hierarchy, making the Kansas City Chiefs not one of the top 10 teams in the NFL. I think he did say, look, they're at 11, don't freak out. But Jay, is it as bad as people think, this 0-2 start for the Chiefs, or is it a case of they've had 2 like difficult games and they'll get right as soon as their players get right?
I think the answer to both of those is yes. Okay, what you said is absolutely true. And I think the Eagles right now are the best team in the NFL. But I am nervous for them. You're 0-2, and your team is getting old. Like, your window isn't that open anymore. Like, you're at the end of this window, and 0-2 ain't the best way to be starting when you're at the end of a window with guys. And, I mean, look at the age of some of the linemen, Travis Kelce, right? Your young receivers on a 6-game suspension. I don't know what's going on with Pacheco, but he doesn't look like the same player from the last couple of years. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's that O-line. But I'm nervous. I wouldn't say I'm writing them off, but I'm nervous.
Yeah, I think they've played 2 close games one against the Chargers, one against the Eagles, right? Like, that's 2 tough opponents to go up against, and 2 opponents that are kind of like built in the way that is built to beat the Chiefs. And they're going up against them without Xavier Worthy and without Rashid Rice. And Xavier Worthy and Rashid Rice are both coming back in soon. I think Rice, as you say, is a 6-game suspension, so he still has 4 games to go. But Xavier Worthy's coming back in soon. They also go up against the Jags next. So you would hope that they have a good get-right game there. I think with Isaiah Pacheco, what's happened is running backs age quickly in the NFL because of how they play the game. But because of how Isaiah Pacheco plays the game, harder than most running backs, then you'll see like he's hit the wall maybe even quicker than what you would expect. And I think that's where they might be. What I did see in that game though, Jay, was Pat Mahomes going, okay, I'm just going to put this team on my shoulders and try and carry you to the win. And look, the Eagles are too good to let that happen. And the tush push is too good to let that happen. But Pat Mahomes looked, again, good. Like, he looked very good. Like, he looked really rusty in week 1, but he looked much better in week 2. And he just doesn't quite yet have the weapons, but the cavalry are arriving, I think, for the Chiefs. Jay, looking at the Eagles here, I don't think they look good. I don't think they look particularly good in either of their 2 games. But that's just the same old Eagles, right? Like, we don't need to look good. We just need to play winning football.
Yeah, but if they lose to the Jags, are you worried?
With the Chiefs, if the Chiefs lose to the Jags, then I'm massively worried because then they go up against Baltimore next.
Okay. What if they beat the Jags and lose to Baltimore? Are we worried then? Like, I don't know where, like, you know.
No, I can't remember who they've got after Baltimore, but it's another gimme game as well. So, like, you come out with Rashee Rice coming back in at 2-3, and you're like, okay, fine. Like, if they look, the Jags might not be as gimme a game as people think it's going to be, and I haven't put the Chiefs as my best bet, even though they're only tagged to beat the Jags currently. No, I've got that wrong. The Chiefs have got the Giants. So the Chiefs have got a gimme game of the Giants, and then they play the Ravens. And then they play the Ravens after that. And then I can't remember who they have week 5, but I think that's then the Jags. Is that game there? So if they come out with Rashee Rice coming back in at 2-3, Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice come back in, and you're like, okay, fine, like, get right from there. If they lose to the Giants, then yeah, that's season over. See what trade value you can get for players that are aging out. I would say 0-3. If you lose against the Giants, like, what trade value can I get for players who just want one more season to go get another ring, maybe 2 more seasons, whatever. Like, trade them out, see what we can get, and then rebuild the roster from there if you're losing to the Giants. But Jay, with the Eagles, I just don't think they looked great, but they win football games not looking great, and they have been doing that going back. They haven't thrown a passing touchdown yet. AJ Brown only has 6 catches in the season so far. Like, they're not throwing the ball with any distance whatsoever. The run game looked much better, but they only scored 20 points. They only got passed by 3. But Jay, the truth is, they got past, and this is how the Eagles play football, and they get better and better throughout the season. What do you make of that?
That's what I was just going to say. This is Eagles football. This is what the Eagles do. They just figure out a way to win, and that's how you win championships, right? No matter which way the game goes, you just figure out how to win. I have them power ranking number 1 right now, but a power ranking is a week-to-week thing, and one bad game can have you out of the top number 1 in the power ranking. But I just think that they play the way they play, and I just have a message for Dean Blandino and the rest of the haters. Shut the fuck up about the tush push. And quit saying it's not a football play, because it's the most football play in all of football, because we always scream football is the ultimate team sport, and here's a play where you need all 11 guys working at the same exact time to get it done, and then you're going to say it's not a football play. Like, stop. The people are just crying because they can't stop it.
Can they not stop it because they false start on every single one?
Stop.
Like, the ball, as the ball is snapped, the center and the 2 guards are already moving on every single, like, the center crumbles, snapping the ball.
That is simultaneous.
Before he snaps, that's simultaneous. The 2 guards are also crumbling at the same time is not, like, that's early. Like, they're early. I agree. if you have a problem with them false starting, go to the league office. And if the league office say they aren't false starting, then they're not false starting. Carry on, learn how to stop it and learn how to do it. The issue is they can't stop the tush push until everybody learns how to do it, or like a decent amount of the league learns how to do it. Once 7 teams are able to consistently do the tush push, the league can ban it for being a boring ass play, right? But my worry is the Eagles are becoming too reliant on it. But be reliant on it.
How come nobody complains?
Like 90% completion.
How come nobody complains when the Ravens line up and Mark Andrews takes the sneak and Derrick Henry's pushing him from behind? But because it's the Eagles and it's the quarterback, it's like there's no way the Ravens or the Chiefs are ever going to do it with Mahomes or Lamar. They don't even let them sneak the ball, which is probably a smart idea, right? But like it's just this weird thing. They pick on the fucking Eagles, and it's like I just watched the Ravens do it last week, and nobody said a word.
Also, the Ravens and the Chiefs versions of it just aren't like. What's the completion rate of the tush push with the Eagles? It's like 90%.
It's probably even 90 something. Yeah.
Yeah, like 90. I can only think of like maybe 2 or 3 that they've failed it on, and they're on. By the way, those fails are on like 4th and basically 2. Like so,
right.
So it's the tush push. Like they're coming from 2 yards back instead of the 1, right? So, but it's about like 95% efficiency. That's not the same with all the other teams that do it in their different variations. Like that isn't the same. Like with Mark Andrews in there, with what like Kelsey in there and stuff like that. It isn't the same the way that they do it. So until 30% of the league can do it, the league can't do anything to stop it. And if you think they're full starting, which I think they're full starting, but like not enough to prove it.
I got to be honest. I got to pay attention more. I just like to be the contrarian when it comes to the Eagles with you, but I've never paid attention to that.
The center and the 2 guards full start every single time they do it, but that's haters saying that want it cancelled. So
it's really hard.
It's close, right?
It's really hard for the center to false start though. So this is what I want to see.
Yeah. It's him. It's like he's crumbling as he's snapping the ball. So like he's snapping and crumbling at the same time. So I would argue he's already started this crumble. What it is, I think, is that they have this thing in F1 where you can false start, but you can actually have pressed the accelerator after the lights out, like after the start of the race, and still be called a false start because there's no way you could have humanly reacted that quickly. So like you must have gone early.
Just another reason I'll never watch F1.
It's mad. It's mad. But that's how I feel about the Eagles guards on that play. Like I feel like there's no way they can react that quickly without them going early, I think is more where I'm at with that. Jay, rounding out our week 2 game-by-game review, we're looking at the Texans versus the Buccaneers. This was another great game, and Jay, it really outlined the reason I picked this game is it outlined the 2 main storylines I have for these 2 teams. The Buccaneers are in the Eagles' vein of get it done no matter how ugly it is. And for me, they are Super Bowl contenders because they're able to do that. The Houston Texans can't do anything because their O-line is terrible. That's where I'm at with both of these teams. Jay, what can the Texans do with an O-line this bad?
Nothing. You got to run the ball and max protect, but it's not going to help you win games because you're never going to be able to spread people out, get the big chunk plays. And the only team I've ever seen that can win a Super Bowl dinking and dunking the ball down the field was the Patriots. It's too many plays. It's kind of this playing the odds. If I make you take a 12-play drive, odds are you're going to fuck up on one of those plays.
Yeah, and to be honest, at some points, like also the Patriots have a good run game. The Texans have, like Nick Chubb looked pretty decent, actually, I thought, and had some pretty decent plays. But that's the consistency in the run game because of the O-line also isn't good. Like they can break big plays and everything like that. Even the dinking and dunking, they were getting beat. They get beat on every stunt. Like, that's the problem that they have. It's every single pass rushing stunt they get immediately beat in the middle of the field. Like, you just watched, I watched Levante David, like 40-year-old Levante David, basically, saunter into the backfield without being touched, but to pressure CJ Stroud. Like, there's no way that Levante David should be getting through that easily. And all he was doing was just, I'm going to hide behind this D tackle, and then I'm going to pop out. And it's like, right, I'm not a guard or a center. Like, I'm not that fat, right? I'm not that fat to play those positions. But you got to think that is the basics of football. Like, oh, the linebacker is coming, but he's behind this other big guy. I better watch out for him, right? And they just whiff on every single stunt. They just whiff on every single one. And there's nothing that CJ Stroud can do. Now, Jay, against the bad teams in the NFL, there is stuff that they can do. They can run the ball more. They can do more things like bubble screens and stuff like that. I do think they have a shot against bad teams in the NFL because they played some good football here and their defense is stellar. Do you think the Texans defense can carry them anywhere?
I mean, it's going to carry them to some wins, but we're at the point, like, we were looking at you as contenders 2 years ago, and you've fallen off since then. And last year had to do with some injuries, and I think emotionally the game got to CJ Stroud last year. I mean, I don't want to beat the Tank Dell sideline thing to death or whatever, but I think it was weird that way emotionally for him. But, like, I don't know what you do. That offensive line is so bad. It's so bad that you traded the Vikings for Ingram when they were just going to cut him after 2 seasons because he was that bad.
Yeah, and didn't they take Cam Robinson as well, like when nobody would sign him? So they trade away Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders, who's looked decent for the Commanders. So it's not because he all of a sudden fell off out of nowhere. And then you're taking guys from like the free agency market that nobody wants, like late free agency market, or worse, you're trading for players that like are really not wanted as well. Like, this O-line was never going to work, and it's a really poor GM job. Jay, Nick Wright was touting the Bucs as Super Bowl dark horses. Does he have a point? Do you think the Bucs can make the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield at QB?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely possible. So I definitely agree that they're a dark horse. Do I think there's NFC teams that are better than them? Yeah, but when you get in the playoffs, if you're hot, you can go on a run and I think they can beat anybody on any given Sunday. That doesn't mean I'm going to bet on them every Sunday to win that game. You know what I mean? Like, if they're playing the Rams, I'm probably in the playoffs. I don't know what I'd pick. It depends on the season, right? You're playing the Packers, going to be a tough game. You're playing the Eagles. I'm probably taking the Eagles, but I'm not going to be the most shocked if they beat every one of those teams.
I think the Bucs have played 2 pretty close games where they haven't played their best football, and they've got out of there with wins as well. Like, I think that's always the mark of a really great team. Like, we've just been speaking about it with the Eagles. And Baker, look, Baker's has the potential to have one of those seasons with like Dak Prescott's MVP season. You could see that from Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield going up there and being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL with this wide receiver room, like Mike Evans, when Chris Godwin comes back in, and then the rookie Emeka Egbuka, he looks ridiculous. Like, he looks so good. I think he's joint leading the league in touchdowns through 2 weeks. With 3, and his touchdown this week was awesome. Like, I think he's so great. I really wanted him in fantasy draft, and I tried to see if I could get him 1 round later, but he wasn't there anymore.
If it works, you feel like a genius. If not, you're like, fuck, I should have took him.
Yeah, exactly. But Jay, that's us going through every game. But the one thing that we haven't spoken about, Jay, is some of the injured quarterbacks. So injured quarterbacks, we have Joe Burrow, JJ McCarthy, Jayden Daniels, and Justin Fields. It looks like Jayden Daniels is going to be playing in week 3. but Justin Fields hasn't practiced. JJ McCarthy's out for 2 to 4 weeks, I've been reading, with a high ankle sprain. And Joe Burrow's out for 3 months, which basically makes him out for the season. Jay, does Joe Burrow need to adjust to the O-line? Like, is that what he needs to start doing? Like, we know the Bengals O-line isn't good, and he holds the ball so long.
Yeah, he's got to get the ball out quicker, but they got to get him a better O-line. We've been saying this for how many fucking years now? Like, you should be sticking all your assets into protecting Joe Burrow, which will make Jamar Chase better, which will make T. Higgins better, like that kind of thing. But they don't invest in it. I don't love their coaching staff still. I feel like their talent carries them more than their scheme helps them. And Jake Browning's a good backup. Like, I remember when the Vikings signed him as an undrafted free agent coming out of college. I mean, they paid him like $125,000 guaranteed to come in, so they liked him. You know what I mean? So, like, he stuck around. He's played some games.
He looked good last year. He looked good last year. He carried them to a win.
Yeah, like, so I think they're all right at quarterback, but not if you can't keep them standing, right? Like, so now that you even have your backup in there, now it's even more imperative that your O-line plays better. I don't know. And this is the thing, again, not to beat him up now that he's injured, and I still think he's really, really good, but do we start questioning Joe Burrow's greatness at some point?
Yeah, I agree. And look, Jake Browning at points, the offense looked way more efficient when he was in. It was either last year or 2 years ago. Like, he gets the ball out faster. His average time of throw is a lot faster than Joe Burrow's, and it's because Joe Burrow's, they're trying to do more stuff with
and
Joe
he's
Burrow.
more talented too by tons. And so Browning has to just
way more talented
in this. He has to play in the system.
Yeah, but with the Bengals, when you have Jamar Chase and you have T. Higgins and you have Chase Brown, who's a great receiving running back, and you have a not great O-line, not amazing O-line. Like, I think they're creeping back. I think they've crept back towards average. It's not as terrible as in like his first few seasons, but he gets the ball out faster, and Joe Burrow should do that. Look, though, it is a case of the O-line. Joe Burrow feels like he has to take unnecessary hits basically once a game. Like, the one that he took from Myles Garrett the week before, like, I thought that would have been the one that got him injured for 3 months. And people calling Joe Burrow injury prone. I don't think he is injury prone. Like, every single one of these is freak. Like, every single injury he has is a freak injury. Like, it's surreal.
But it depends on your definition of injury prone, right? Like, it's just a guy who repeatedly gets injured. Some people think that's injury prone. I get what you're saying. Like, is it just knick-knack or like ticky-tack injuries off dumb shit, or like you're saying you see like freak shit happen? So I think it's the perspective on what you think injury prone is, because I think the people who call him injury prone just mean somebody who gets injured all the time.
Yeah, and I think that, like, it's also the fact, like, Jimmy Garoppolo is injury prone, right? Like, if you breathe on Jimmy Garoppolo, he's out for like a couple of weeks, right?
Honestly, Matt Stafford's injury prone. He just plays through it.
Yeah.
Because he's always injured, always.
Yeah, Matt Stafford plays hurt. I do feel like Matt Stafford got the shit kicked out of him so much in Detroit that, like, he's now just got a 50-year-old's body. Like, whereas, like, Aaron Rodgers never really has ever really taken many hits in his career. Like,
not big ones.
Stafford, Stafford is older in body than Rodgers is.
Rodgers' worst hit that he ever took injury-wise was when he was running from Anthony Barr, and Anthony Barr tackled him on the run and he broke his collarbone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't just take blown-up hits.
Yeah, and that's a freak injury.
Right.
That, like, where you, like, just one tackle blows up your collarbone.
Because you're throwing and you fall like this, and then next thing you know, you land and,
Yeah. With Jay, like, he wasn't having a great game. Like, the Vikings obviously went down to a loss there, and he wasn't having a good game in this one. Are you a little worried about JJ McCarthy's durability? Obviously, he tore his meniscus like last season, and then this is an ankle sprain. So that's 2 leg injuries that you've got there.
Well, with this, I'm worried about the old line. So Christian Darisol's out. You lose Josh Kelly. This kid got fucking battered. So I'm not sure if it's one of those things. It's too soon to tell. I'm not saying it's not. But I'm not worried yet because I feel like the O-line got him just destroyed. But it's a sad case where it looks like Christian Darrisaw is going to come back just in time for Carson Wentz to come out and play.
Yeah.
I think Carson Wentz is going to play wonderful, by the way, in Kevin Connell's system.
I'm almost tempted to say that like Wentz might be better at this stage than McCarthy is. Like you want McCarthy to play because he'll be better by the end of the season than Wentz is. But currently in this stage, McCarthy didn't have a good game even before that injury. Like
but he's been getting his ass kicked from the jump. At that offensive line is so bad, and I thought they were going to be so good. It's just this weird thing.
And a lot of people saying like, "Oh, he was running scared." It's like he looked jittery. It's like I didn't think he looked jittery. I think he just like there was just a lot of pressure in his face, and he didn't really have he doesn't yet have the mental tools to like get out of that. But I think JJ comes back in 3 weeks. I'm still stashing him on my bench in our 2-quarterback league. Like I'm going to hold on to him because I think he'll come out. He's shown me he's got more than enough skill in last week's game when they actually let it fly to play in the NFL. And once Darrisaw's back, then the O-line becomes just that much better eventually. Jayden Daniels takes another big hit. Jayden Daniels hasn't actually missed a game yet in the NFL. He broke his rib. I think people forget that Jayden Daniels broke his rib when he was having that crazy rookie year last year. He also broke his rib during that time and played through it. But Jay, he's got another injury. Does Jayden Daniels really need to make sure he's taking less hits? I remember Lamar Jackson going through this same realization.
Yeah, he has to protect himself better, which he did pretty good last year, but he got his rib hurt and took some. But yeah, when you're the starting quarterback, I know you're tough and you just want to make the play, but you have to think about the long term. It's the one position that they all the time have to be thinking about the next snap, right? When you're a safety, you can't worry about the next snap. You got to worry about, because if you pull up on a tackle, you could end up hurting yourself. But as a quarterback, it's different. You got to be worried about the long term. And that's hard. I think that's hard for a alpha athlete, right? Somebody who's been the best at whatever they do since they were 9 years old athletically. And then you have to start thinking about, I can't do this because I have to worry about week 17.
Yeah, and it's like the QB, so for example, talking about this, Brian Thomas Jr. makes the business decision to not go and catch Trevor Lawrence. Whether you think Trevor Lawrence is throwing him a hospital ball or not, fine. There were a couple of ones that, maybe hospital balls. There were a couple of ones that really weren't. And Brian Thomas Jr. has made the business decision. You can't do that at wide receiver. That's not allowed. Do that at quarterback. You're allowed to make the business decision. That's exactly what you should.
Because you're making the business decision for the organization.
For the
you're the receiver, you're making it for yourself.
But for the receiver, you're making a tens to hundreds of millions business decision. For the quarterback, they're making billions of dollars business decisions. Right. That's what they're making. That's what the difference is there. Jay, and on the opposite side of things, Justin Fields has got a concussion, still isn't out of the concussion protocol. It seems like Tyrod Taylor is going to be playing in the next week. With this, it's the same as it's bound to happen the way that Fields and Daniels play the game, but you're okay with Fields taking the hits because he needs to be the athletic running back style guy going through. He shouldn't be making the business decisions.
And there's not a big fall off if you go from him to Tyrod. There might even be a little upswing in certain parts of the game, but downfall in athletics. On the athletic side, Tyrod's athletic enough, but he is not Justin Fields, right? So
he's not Justin Fields,
But when you go from Jayden Daniels to your backup, that's a big drop off.
Yeah, of course. That's a huge drop off. So with Justin Fields, you're thinking, fucking take the hit, try and get those extra yards because that's what you're good at. But with Jayden Daniels, you don't want to do that. Jay, let's move on to our NFL Week 2 overreactions. I'll go first, Jay. We've just got one for this week. We're getting half an hour before kickoff here. So our week 2 overreactions for me, Jay, AJ Brown should demand a trade from the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't need him.
Fuck out of here.
They don't need him. He's got his ring. They don't need him. They don't use him. Demand a trade. The Eagles, they're taking up his prime years. Trade him to the Dallas Cowboys.
Fucking stop. I know it's an overreaction, and I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Okay. My overreaction is Brian Daboll has zero idea what he's doing as an NFL coach.
I like that one. That's a good one. That's a good fun one.
It's an accumulative one, though. It's not just 1 week. This is my accumulative overreaction because he obviously can coach more than most, but the more and more I watch the Giants, the less and less I like him as a head coach. Seems like a great dude. Probably love to have a beer with that guy. But as a head coach, I don't love him. And I think sometimes he gets away with bad play calling because neighbors just said, I'm going to go get that.
Yeah. I'd quite like to see him as an offensive coordinator again, to be honest, to see how good of an offensive coordinator he is. Because maybe he's just a great QB coach who coached Josh Allen. Let's see.
Or maybe he just has an awful GM in New York. That could be it too, and he's taking the heat. But
he's also doing his job in New York. That could be said for either of the New York teams as well. But yeah, guys, that was our overreactions for week 2. We're now looking ahead to GMJ, which is where I asked Jay a GM question that I would love to have the answer to, and he tries his best to answer it in the way a GM would. But Jay, your question for this week, with all the injuries at quarterback, is what is the most important when choosing a backup QB? Is it to have the best QB available, or is it the most like the starting quarterback?
Oh, that's a good question. Because they have to be – I think they have to be – I mean, obviously they have to be talented, but they have to be able to run the same system your starter is running for the rest of the team to move smoothly. And they also have to be able to communicate what they're seeing to the starter because they're like another – set of eyes for them. So I'm going to lean towards more they have to be more like the quarterback because I think it's hard to take – say a guy like Lamar, and then especially let's say Justin Fields, because he's more like Lamar was when he was younger, and then go to a statue of a quarterback. I think that's rough on the team. So
yeah, and I think Lamar is a good. I think Lamar is a good comparison there because they obviously go from Lamar to Tyler Huntley, is what they used to do, and that made loads of sense. That was a good drop back. To athletic quarterback, is Tyler Huntley the best? Was he the best QB, backup QB in the NFL? No, probably not. There's other QBs that are better than him, but he works really well stylistically. So, JJ McCarthy down to Carson Wentz isn't the craziest thing you have to do in terms of drop off. Joe Burrow to Jake Brownlee, not the craziest thing you have to do in terms of really redoing the scheme. I feel like not having to redo the scheme is a massive win when you're going down to the backup QB. And there are other things that become available as well. So, for example, Cam Newton never really made a good backup QB because he's the star. Because his personality is the star as well. So there's other things you've got to take into account.
Well, it's the reason why Ryan Fitzpatrick was the best backup quarterback because he could play from the pocket, but he was super athletic too. People always forget how athletic he was. Yeah. So, that's why he made it Colt so McCoy. Long in the league.
Yeah. Colt McCoy, very similar as well. And then the guy who took the Vikings to the NFC Championship game from backup QB.
Oh, my gosh. Why am I blank? I can picture him right now. You said Colt McCoy, and that's what's got – I feel like an asshole because I can't remember. And I can picture his face right now. And I'm going to kick myself. He played for Houston in college.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's very similar to McCoy as well. This is bad.
2017.
Chase Keenum. Case Keenum. Yeah,
Case Keenum. Yes. I
Case
feel bad.
Keenum.
Sorry, Case. Sorry.
There you go. Fucking hell. Yeah, Case Keenum as well. Like perennial backups that can just fit into any, can like do any style well. Like, you know, like I feel like the backup quarterback, the perfect backup quarterback is that jack of all trades, master of none. Right? Like that's what you want, a backup QB, the perfect backup QB. Jay, moving on to our final thing for rounding out NFL Week 2, we have our MVP and Rookie MVP awards. Jay, I'll start with my Week 2 MVP, and that's Jared Goff, 23 completions of 28 attempts, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a QB rating of 156 in a 50-point win. Jared Goff, MVP of Week 2.
All right. So my MVP of Week 2 was the new offensive coordinator for Detroit. So that's funny. We both went with Detroit. I thought they played great. I was very impressed. I think Detroit's offense, again, like I said in the beginning, is an offense that is showing that they can be what they were last year without Ben Johnson. So now it's just, what can we see with their defense? And as long as you have a good offensive coordinator and you need a good defensive coordinator, Dan Campbell might still be the right head coach.
Yeah, and I think with Amon-Ra St. Brown could have been there as well. I think like that, when you put up 50 points, especially on a division rival, you're going to be in MVP talks as well. Shout out to Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts as well, who went off this week. And talking of the Indianapolis Colts, Jay, my rookie MVP for
Week 2. You did not.
Tyler Warren.
Yeah, me too. I'll give a second one. I got a second one. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Leading tight end in receiving yards through 2 weeks. He's at 156, I believe. He joins back. He's at 155. Brock Bowers was at 156 last season, making them the only 2 tight ends to be at 150 yards throughout their first 2 games in their rookie years. Tyler Warren, rookie MVP.
Yeah, he went 4 for 79 with 42-yard long, picked up some blocks. He was my guy too. And I had an honorable mention, so I'll just go with him. And it's Cam Scarborough, running back for the New York Jets. I give him an honorable mention because he played really good. And I think they're just going to have to utilize him more. Like, I don't think they utilized him enough in that game. So I give him the honorable mention. So he will be my rookie MVP for the week because we both decided to go with Tyler Warren.
Yeah, very nice. I if I had an honorable mention, it would be Emeka Egbuka. He didn't have the stats to really go over the line, but his huge touchdown play was like, he has crazy touchdown capabilities for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Trayvon Henderson looked good for the Pats, but I want to say, what the fuck is Las Vegas doing with Ashton Genty?
Yeah.
11 for fucking almost 50 yards, and you don't give him the ball more than 11 fucking times? What are you doing?
Yeah. Like with a head coach who is so run heavy that Seattle had to campaign for Russ to be allowed to throw the ball more. Like, you're not running Ashton Genty. It blows my mind. Crazy. Jay, looking ahead to week 3 now, in 20 minutes, week 3 begins with Buffalo versus Miami. We've waited this long to get onto it, Jay, because I don't think there is this much to talk about in this game. How can the Dolphins win this game? They're 12.5-point dogs.
If the Bills decide not to show up. That's the only way they can win this game. If the Bills decide not to play.
It's crazy because you look at the Dolphins' talent, like just their top draw talent, and you think, yeah, like that's great. Like Tua throwing to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, like Devon Achane, like coming out the backfield. Yeah, that's great. That's a lot of top end talent. They just don't have the meat on the bone at all for their they don't have the depth. They don't have that middling player. And the vibes are just so off in Miami. Like, I know that's terrible analysis, but the vibes are off. Jay, if the Dolphins lose heavily here, should they be looking to blow it up and just start again? Like, possibly head coach out, but get what you can for Tyreek Hill, get what you can for Tua maybe. Like, I think a really interesting thought would be get what you can for Tua and then bring in Kirk Cousins. Like, I think that's a very interesting thought to just like sort things out like the cap and then go for Arch Manning and who's not looked great to start the college season, but go for whoever the number one QB is going to be.
I agree with everything you said except the Kirk Cousins. Just go with some fucking other quarterback, lose some fucking games, get lined up with as many draft picks as you can get, go get your future quarterback. And I don't like in-season coaching changes, but I think McDaniel might be gone before the season's over.
His stick gets irritating if you're losing football games.
I didn't love it when he was winning, but I thought he was coaching well, so you deal with it, right? Because he is a strange dude, and it is hard to listen to him talk. He will take a 4-word sentence and turn it into a 38-word sentence. It is very hard to deal with. But you're right. When you're losing, nobody's going to put up with that shit.
Yeah, and when you're losing with the talent that they have on the roster, like Tyreek Hill is going through it, and like Tyreek Hill's going through it, and he's a talented guy. And he left the Chiefs just before the dynasty took off and everything like that. You're thinking, he can't be happy in Miami right now. Jay,
I'm trading him. I'm trading Waddle, and I'm trading Micah Fitzpatrick, and then we're just going to go from there.
Yeah, Jay, is the Bills' defense reliable enough to cover this spread? So the spread is 2.5. This is also where I'm asking you to
12.5.
pick. Yeah, 12.5. Yeah, this is where I'm asking you to pick the spread as well. But my question is the Bills' defense reliable enough? They look terrible against the Ravens. They look good against the Jets. Secondary is so slow, and Tyreek Hill is there, and Devon Achane is fast as fuck as well. I think they'll win the game, but is the defense reliable enough to cover the spread?
They're, reliable. They're good enough to cover the spread, but I don't think they're going to, because I think we're going to see garbage time points. That's why I am going to end up taking Miami with the points. But I could end up looking like an asshole because they could literally beat Miami by 30.
Yeah, I think on a 12-point spread, Miami were close to keeping up with the Patriots last week. On a 12-point spread with that much talent on the roster. And I think Tua is still a good QB. I think he is a good QB. I think their offensive line is horrific. I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least one huge play from the Dolphins, like a 50, 60-yard touchdown from someone, because the safeties are so slow. In Buffalo, and obviously when I say so slow, I mean they still run a sub 540, so much better than the rest of us. But Jay, to finish off, then looking ahead to week 3, what are your best bets on the spread? We are currently, guys, 4-2 going into this season, so we've gone 2-1 both weeks, which to me, Jay, that's winning betting. That's money. 4-2. That is money. So follow us for these best bets. Jay, who have you got?
All right. So my first best bet of the week is Indianapolis -4.5 at Tennessee. I think Indy beats Tennessee pretty good. I like how Danny Dimes is playing with Shane Steichen. And they got a great running game going. I think their defense is pretty solid. I think Tennessee is getting better as we watch him, but Cam's still young. And I don't think he's got the receiving core and talent around him. I know it's a divisional game, but I think I'm taking the Colts to beat them by more than 4.5.
I think Cam Ward is looking every bit the first overall pick in a shit situation. Which, if you're the first overall pick, chances are you go into a shit situation. And if you just don't look like the problem as a rookie QB going into that, then you're good. So I like what Cam Ward's doing, and I can see that pick. Jay, what is your second best bet for week 3?
Green Bay minus 8.5 at Cleveland. I don't know if I even have to say any more. It's fucking Cleveland.
Yeah, I think huge. I avoided that for a best bet because of the spread there. But yeah, the Packers are playing some.
But the Packers are putting their foot on people's necks. They're not a team that lightens up. So, like, I feel like even if they're up by 7 with 7 minutes left, they're gonna we're gonna go put down another fucking touchdown.
Yeah, Mike is gonna take Joe Flacco standing like a statue against that pass rush is not going to be good. This could be the game where we see Dylan Gabriel come in. Jay, what's your third best bet going into week 3?
All right, I was torn. So an honorable mention to the Commanders minus 3.5 over Vegas. Yep. That was the honorable mention. But I ended up picking Atlanta minus 5.5 at Carolina.
That's crazy. We've managed to get 3 different best bets again, but all of the ones that you've put are all ones that I thought about and just went, oh, the spreads are a bit big for me. I do like the Commanders against the Raiders at 3.5 and the Falcons 5.5 against the Panthers. I think people are giving the Panthers like a lot of feistiness, like love, but the Falcons look great against you guys last week, and Bijan Robinson is playing some excellent football. So I wouldn't be surprised.
And they show grittiness week 1. You know what I mean? They show grittiness week 1. They look good last week. So, yeah, I'm going with them.
Their pass rush is massively improved by their rookies as well. Like the Falcons look much, much better. Jay, for me, my first best bet of the week is I've taken the Steelers 1.5 against the Patriots. I thought about it. The Patriots only just scraped past the Dolphins. I think the Patriots are a good football team. I picked them as my best bet last week, but to be within 2 points of the Steelers, I find that difficult to see. The Texans are 1.5 against the Jaguars. I think they're going up against. What? You thought that as well? Yeah. I think the Texans O-line is only a problem against good teams. Like, I think they're more than talented enough against bad teams. And the vibes in Jacksonville are all off. Like, the vibes in Jacksonville are really, really off. Like, it's something to do with Florida, clearly. And then, Jay, to finish off, I've done the unthinkable. I've picked the Dallas Cowboys as one of my best bets. The Cowboys are 1.5 against the Chicago Bears. The Bears offensively have looked terrible. They've looked really bad. No, sorry. Offensively, they've looked okay. Defensively, they've looked terrible. And the Cowboys' offense is clicking. I think the Cowboys' offense, if they were to help the Cowboys' defense by just running the rock over and over again with Javonte Williams, they'll see the Bears off. I think, and if I'm getting 1.5 and I think a team's going to win, I'm going to take the 1.5. So, yeah, give me that 1.5 as well.
Well, it's minus 1.5.
Minus 1.5. Yeah, sorry. I was kidding myself, but it is minus 1.
I thought about the Cowboys, but then I'm like, their defense does not make me feel good. So I didn't, but I was on that. I thought about all 3 of yours, so that's funny. But I'm glad we picked different ones.
I was thinking about the Cowboys. See, I'm picking the Cowboys as the best bet, but I'm also happy that I've managed to secure Caleb Williams for my fantasy team going into this week, because although I think the Cowboys will win, I still think they could give up 30. Like, they still could give up like 20 odd 30. Like, Kyrie Lim is genuinely one of the worst cornerbacks I've ever seen. But Jay, that's it going into another week of NFL football. We've got 10 minutes before week 3 kicks off. I hope you all enjoy the game tonight. I hope it's a close one. Jay, see us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the other shows on the channel. There's 7 of them now, so I'm not just going to start rattling off names of shows, but just hit the notification. You'll get notification. And stay tuned, because within the next few weeks, we're going to have the first episode of MMA Undergrounds one-on-one with Buddy V. So make sure you check that out. Go over to ZooLWorld.com, grab you some of the Yankee and the Brit merch. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed Thursday Night Football. One world, one love. Deuces.